rooted in the Spirit. I can stand the rain. When you're born of the Spirit, you're made so brand new. And all the time you wasted, all the time you wasted, is given back to you. A new heaven and a new earth is what I see. Something else is more important to me. Oh, I changed. Something's changed in me. Something's changed in me. Something's changed in me.
Our purpose statement. Our purpose is to create a spiritual community which recognizes that there is one presence and one power in the universe, God. Daily, we actively practice this spiritual truth. We open our heart space to each person to acknowledge one another as expressions of God. It is in each other that we see God.
May our hearts be open. 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 May our hearts be open.
This morning, as we gather for this Heartstream, our evocation, if you'll take a moment with me to turn within. As we give thanks for this day and for all that continues to flow, for indeed having a wonderful, wonderful opportunity each and every day to greet the day, to greet the morning, or continue our day in ways that are life-affirming, life-giving, ways in which we continue to know our connection with Spirit and how it guides and directs our lives, how it continues to permeate all it is that we do. May this Heartstream today, that as we move forward in it, all of the elements that have come together to make this possible, the music, the affirmative reading, the message, all of the other ways in which this comes to help each and every one of us, we're grateful and thankful. We continue to lift up those who are on our prayer list, seeing them healthy, seeing them whole, perfect, and complete. We continue to remember each and every one who is watching this, who is a part of this Open Heart Spiritual Center community and beyond. We also extend our love and light and prayers for healing and for wholeness to our community and our world at large. Each and every day, again, is an opportunity to know Spirit guiding and directing and abiding in our lives. And may we find all of the things that we need each and every day here in this moment, because we know that there continues to be that element that is in each of us where we know our divinity, we know who we are, even when it's obscured sometimes, but we know that, and it continues to speak to us and guide us and provide us inspiration and motivation and creativity and all else. I release my word into the creative medium. I know this already done in the mind of God, and so it is.
Remember this 10 years later? There's a hero. If you look inside your heart, you don't have to be afraid of what you are. There's an answer if you reach into your soul, and the sorrow that you know will melt away. And then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive when you feel like hope is gone. Look inside you and be strong, and you'll finally see the truth that a hero lies in you. It's a long road, and you face the world alone. No one reaches out a hand for you to hold. You can find love if you search within yourself, and the emptiness you felt will disappear. Then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive when you feel like hope is gone. Look inside you and be strong, and you'll finally see the truth that a hero lies in you. Lord knows dreams are hard to follow. Don't let anyone tear them away. Hold on, there will be tomorrow. In time, you'll find a way. Yeah, a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. You feel like hope is gone. Look inside you and be strong, and you'll finally see the truth that a hero lies in you. Yeah, a hero lies in you. Ooh, a hero lies in you.
What comes from the heart reaches the heart. Good morning and welcome to our Heartstream for this Sunday, June the 4th. It's so great to have you with us today. Thank you for all that you do to continue making this Heartstream possible, for you making us getting the message about New Thought, Ancient Wisdom out, all that you do. We're in a brand new month. Our theme this month is Living the Integrated Life, and this is an opportunity for us to learn more about this all of this month. I'm also excited that we have a special guest speaker this month. We have the Reverend Jeff Radcliffe, and you'll learn more about him as we move on. He will be our speaker on the fourth Sunday. But it's great that each and every one of you has joined us for today. This is also Pride Month. And one of the things that I posted is the open heart. From our very beginning, we were intentional about inclusive, and we remain committed to that. As I said in the post that I put out there, we're not new to this, we're true to this. This is a part of who we are. And we continue to affirm for all people all of the rights that we indeed want for ourselves and for others. This is, again, a brand new day, a brand new month, a brand new opportunity. I'd like to also ask you again to remember Lynn Kuiper in your prayers. Her husband Carl's memorial service is upcoming. Also to remember Renee Crone, to hold her in your prayers. I learned just on yesterday that she had spent Memorial Day weekend in ICU, and she is recovering, but she is in need of prayer and other things as well. So let's remember them. And as always, I greet you, I bless you, I see God in you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Just have a happy day. Today is a day like no other day. Just think and you'll know that it's true. Days like today should be holidays. So I'm singing this message to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Just have a happy day.
Our affirmation for the month of June: living the integrated life. Every day, in every way, I bring to each situation in my life the complete essence of God. I am one with the body of the physical world, one with the creative law of the universe in the mental world, and one with the Spirit of God in the conscious world. So, I am living on 3 planes: spirit, mind, body, and all is well.
Thank you so much. So today, I just wanted to give you, I should say, a scenario of the musicians in our communities across the world. You know, most of us do music because we want to do the music, because we feel inclined to do the music. Not for many more reasons than that. To start off with just the fact that we have to do it. So, as you travel this summer and throughout the year, you will see musicians on the streets, in the malls, just almost anywhere. Subways in New York. So this morning, I am the musician in the subway of New York. Once again, I've done that. On the streets of New Orleans, I've done that. I'll keep doing that when I visit these places. And this morning, I'm here at your feet at Open Heart. So this is an example of what you might see or hear as you see our musicians across the world as you travel. So, thank you. You can do this. Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. Don't try to figure it out. Just do it.
That was right on time.
Don't try to figure it out. Just do it.
All right, here we go.
Name your price, a ticket to paradise. I can't stay here anymore.
And I look high and low. I've been from shore to shore to shore.
If there's a shortcut, I found it.
But there is no easy way around it,
Light of the world, shine on me. Love is the answer. Shine on us all, set us free. Love is the answer. Who knows why? Someday we all must die. We're all homeless, boys and girls.
and we'll never hurt. It's such a lonely, lonely world.
People turn their backs and walk on by.
Tell me, is there one, just another try?
Light of the world, shine on me. Love is the answer. Shine on us all, set us free. Love is the answer. Light of the world, shine on me. Love is the answer. Shine on us all, set us free. Love is the answer.
And when you feel afraid,
Love one another.
and when you've lost your way,
Love one another.
And when you're all alone,
Love one another.
and when you're far from home,
And when you're down, out cold.
love one another.
And when your hope inside.
Love one another. And when you need a friend,
Love one another.
and when you need the end,
We got to love. We got to love. Light of the world, shine on me. Love is the answer. Shine on us all, set us free. Love is the answer. Light of the world, shine on me. Love is the answer. Shine in us all, set us free. Love is the answer. Oh, we've got to learn to love. We've got to learn to love one another. Don't think about it. Just learn to love. Oh, let's learn to love each other. Like I said, just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Oh, just do it. Just do it. Don't try to figure it out. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Oh, just do it. Just do it. No matter what color you are, just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Oh, just do it. Just do it. We've got to learn to love, yeah. Just do it. 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 Just
time for our announcements. Please watch. June is Pride Month, and we unhesitatingly and wholeheartedly support our lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, non-binary, and queer friends, their rights, their marriages, their pursuit of happiness, and their breath. This is also true July through May. From the very beginning of Open Heart, we were intentional about being an inclusive community, and we continue to this day. As I've said, we are not new to this, we are true to this. On Sunday, June the 25th, our special guest speaker is the Reverend Jeff Radcliffe. Jeff is a minister in divine science, and we look forward to having him as a part of our Heartstream on the 25th, and I know that we're looking forward to hearing from him. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am richly blessed, creating a greater and greater and greater flow. We have ways in which you can give and support Open Heart through Cash App. Our cash tag is OHSC901. You can go online to our website, OHSC901.com. Click on the word give and contribute there. Or you can text the word give to 615-422-4292. Infinite prosperity is mine to share. I am blessed. Thank you for your gifts. Our prayers go to those that you see on this list. Each and every day, our prayer team offers prayers on behalf of those that are listed here. We continue to see and to know and to hold the space for them, for their wholeness, for their healing, for their encouragement, for their comfort, for knowing that all is well, that Spirit is flowing in, through, and as them. And so we see each and every day that we send out thoughts of love, health, well-being, and strength to these dear ones that are on our prayer list. Our daily affirmative prayer call takes place each and every morning at 8 a.m. Central Time. Dial in as one of our prayer team members shares an inspirational reading and then prays for you, all in about 7 minutes.
Great morning, Open Heart family. My name is Angela Sargent, and my task is to share your morning affirmation. Your affirmation will be coming from one of my favorite devotionals, Acts of Faith by Ayanna Van Zandt. And so I just ask that you open your heart and your mind to receive the affirmation for the day. When you don't have a grip on life, it will definitely get a grip on you. Jewel Diamond Taylor. Life is a mystery, unfolded. It's a journey, walk it. It can be painful, endure it. It can be beautiful, see it. It can be a joke, laugh at it. It can be a song, sing it. It can be a flower, smell it. It can be wonderful, enjoy it. It can be a candle, light it. It is so precious. Don't waste it. It's your gift. Open it. It's full of love. Give it. It's unlimited. Go for it. It is light. Shine in it. I ask now that we take a deep breath, and once we release the breath, we all say, I am all that life is. I am all that life is. Have a wonderful Sunday, family.
brilliance and grace. Welcome joy, satisfaction, pleasure and strength. Welcome lessons, beauty, presence, spirit, form and space. Welcome excellence in every blessing, sacred and praise.
What I see, I am. What I wanna know, I understand. All I wish I could, I can. What I wanna be, I am. What I see, I am. What I wanna know, I understand. All I wish I could, I can. Who I wanna be, I am.
I am the seed, I am the tree, I am the flower, I am the bee. I am fire, I am wind. I accept love and also I give. I am loud and I am mighty. I am silent, I tread lightly. I am brave and monumental. I am modest and I am gentle. I am student and I teach. I am a sand and I am a beach. I am peace and I am power. I am bridge and I am tower. I am peace and I am wild. I am mother, I am child. I am baby, I am few. I am God and God is you.
What I see, I am. What I wanna know, I understand. All I wish I could, I can. Who I wanna be, I am. What I see, I am. What I wanna know, I understand. All I wish I could, I can. Who I wanna be, I am.
To be.
You all hear me refer to our daily prayer call. I talk about that all the time. I still say that it is a benefit that is available to you should you choose to begin your day or continue your day with prayer, 7 minutes at 8 a.m. Central Time. But as a part of that, we begin our prayer call with an inspirational or affirmative reading, and the different members of the prayer team do a wonderful job in finding resources to provide that reading for us. I probably could do a little better job of sharing some of mine with them, but there is one that several of us use. I am the one I do know that I discovered it, and then several other people start referring to it, but it is one that is called Consciousness on Demand by a woman named Reverend Rita, who is a religious science minister that happens to live in Hawaii. And I like reading the things that she writes because they do inspire me. They're great for the prayer call, but also just they resonate with me in my life for other reasons too, not just for the purpose of the prayer call, but I like going through and reading the things that she has written. And there was a particular one this past week that when I read the first line, it asked the question, have you ever compartmentalized your life? And I thought, when I read that, I said, wait a minute, because she went on to talk about how we can get caught up in doing things on a physical level, and we find ourselves feeling alone in the physical world. And she wrote that Ernest Holmes reminded us about taking the spirit into living, and how she divided things up into the the idea of spirit, mind, and body, and oftentimes how we don't take the spirit into living. And as I read that, I thought to myself, wait a minute. How does she know me? How does she know me? Because it certainly applied to me. And I really saw this as something that was written for me and applying to me. And I felt like, I remember when I was living in Dallas, there was a retired minister that I would love listening to. And I remember one time he was preaching and the congregation was really with him. They were really saying amen, and they were moving him on and all of that. And then he made a statement and everybody got quiet. And he paused and he pulled his glasses down and he peered over his glasses and he asked the question, did I walk down your street? And I found out that was his way of saying, basically, did I say something, did I step on your toes or say something that really related to you that you didn't really want me to talk about or whatever, but did I walk down your street? And so I felt like when I read that, have you ever compartmentalized your life, that she had indeed walked down my street? Because I do know, I have been honest with myself and I'm talking to others. I do know that I've had the tendency to compartmentalize my life. But I know that I can't be the only one. I know that for me, I wear several hats. I am a spiritual director and pastor of Open Heart Spiritual Center. I'm also a professor of cultural anthropology at the University of Memphis. I do online trading. I also have been and still am a life coach. And there are other things that I do with my life. I have many hats that I wear, but I also know that I tend to compartmentalize my life. I compartmentalize my life in terms of the fact that I'm the professor over there, I'm the minister over here, and all of that, but often I don't integrate those aspects of who it is that I am. And what happens when I do that is I run into problems, because you see, my spirituality and my spiritual walk are very important to me. They are very, very important to me. My spirituality and my spiritual walk are very important to me, and I've had that as a part of my life for a long time, and they are very important to me. And maybe it's not a problem for you, but I know that when I compartmentalize my life, I run into problems. I run into areas of my life. I know that oftentimes, as she mentioned it at the beginning, that we often, when we just do that, we find ourselves on the physical plane feeling alone because we do things, but we don't take spirit into our lives. And I know for me that life can be going well, and then I suddenly, boom, I feel like the prophet Elijah, that my brooks dried up, that I'm trying to solve things on my own. And then as I reflect on that and wonder what went wrong and how did things go wrong, I start speculating, and you probably saw this coming, but I speculated whether I need to be more intentional about making my default metaphysical. You hear me asking that question, is your default metaphysical? And I find often that I feel like I'm banging my head up against the wall, that I'm feeling alone, that my brooks dried up, that things are not going the way that I would love for them to go. And I find things, feeling like that everything's nailed down, is coming loose. All of that because compartmentalizing my life. And I know that there's a reason for it. I'm honest about this. I have always been bothered by people who have to keep reminding you about their religion. Keep reminding you, those people who everywhere you go, every time you're around them, they're constantly bringing up God, their religion, talking about what kind of Christian that they are. And often it leads to them being sanctimonious in everything that they do, everything, all of that. And often it's performative. It's not, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but oftentimes it feels to me performative, that they're doing it because they feel like that's what they're supposed to do, but maybe not a genuine expression of who they are, but they are constantly doing that. And I just never wanted to be that person. I didn't want to be that individual who constantly has to tell you how much of a religious or a spiritual person that they are, because as Joe Lewis said one time, if you have to tell people who you are, who you is, then you ain't. So I think that that's important, and I didn't want to be that person. So, but what has happened is it has caused me to have that tendency to compartmentalize my life. And it's more than just saying grace before we eat. I have a whole nother story about that. But it's about incorporating into all aspects of my life spirit, taking spirit into living. And I know that I'm better at doing it sometimes than I am at others. There's some times where I'm perfectly fine doing that and incorporating that and doing that. And again, as I said, it might not be a problem for you, but I know that it's a problem for me, and I have a feeling that there's some people out there that I'm talking to, some people out there that I'm walking down your street right now, that you might find yourself banging your head up against the wall, feeling like your brook's dried up, wondering how things got to where they are, because here you are. And while you might not have different jobs, there are also different roles that we play. There are different areas of our life that we compartmentalize, things that we do, and we don't bring spirit into those things. We don't take spiritual living, and I'm talking about the principles of spirit, the principles of metaphysics, the principles of New Thought, Ancient Wisdom, into all of the things that we do. And again, it's not about language, just telling everyone or talking the talk, but it's more important from that. And language is important, and I will talk next week more about the things that we say, but language is important. And again, I think that a lot of this comes from our culture. There's my anthropologist hat. But it comes from our culture because we tend to be what I call a Sunday only kind of culture when it comes to religion very often. Because for many of us, Sunday tends to be the day that we practice or acknowledge the spiritual aspect or religion in our lives, because people will go to church on Sundays. I know that a long time ago, and my students are surprised when I tell them growing up, there were certain places that were closed on Sunday, things that you couldn't even do on Sunday. And I know even generations before me, it was even more restrictive in terms of what could and could not happen and what did and did not happen on Sundays. So all of that, I understand that. I know that we tend to be a Sunday only, and also there are only certain places that we think about that evoke ideas of religion and spirituality and religiosity, meaning those places that we designate as churches or temples or mosques or whatever else. And so our culture itself promotes an idea of compartmentalizing, because if it's not a Sunday, or if we're not at church, or if we're not in this place or that place, oftentimes we feel like that then we move to other places, and we don't think about incorporating into our lives, again, spirit, taking spirit into living. And then again, we also get caught up in the idea that there are only certain people that when it comes to expressions of religion should be the ones, or they are the ones. I know that because often people think that only certain people, for example, pray or should pray in public with things like that. I know that oftentimes, so often I'm out and I'm doing something, and because people know that I am a minister, I get called on to pray. I can remember a long time ago when I first started at one of my churches, and that first Sunday after the service, they were having a reception for me, but I was still in my office because a lot of people wanted to come and talk with me and all of that. And I was had the intention of making my way down to the fellowship hall to be a part of the reception, but I was delayed by people. And finally, one of the officers of the church came in and said to me, Reverend, they're waiting on you to come downstairs and bless the food so that people could eat. And I was puzzled by that. And I said, well, why can't somebody else know? You're the pastor. You're supposed to be the one. And so I asked, well, what do you do when you're at home? Don't you bless the food at home? And so when I got down there, I very lovingly and gently reminded the people that anyone could take the opportunity to pray. And while I was honored by the fact that they thought enough of me as their pastor to think that they were waiting on me, but my thought was this, that if we are truly about who we say we are, and if praying for ourselves, saying grace over food or whatever else is good enough for us in our own private time or personal time, is good enough for any other occasion. So again, you might be asking yourself, when I know I'm bringing up a lot of things, what's wrong with this? And what, for me, the problem is that we miss out on bringing God, the God in whom we live, move, and have our being, into our total experience. We miss out on that because we find again feeling like our brook dried up. We feel like we're banging our head up against the wall, that we're trying to do things by ourselves. So when we compartmentalize our lives, then we don't have the full essence of God, the full essence of the God power, the universal power with us, because we have to remember this: God can do no more for you than God can do through you. Let me say that again. God can do no more for you than God can do through you. And it's not about God playing favorites. It's not about God being a capricious, whimsical God that decides to bless this person but not bless the other person. But it's about our willingness to accept God being present in our lives. It's about our willingness to be open and available to God operating in our lives. It's about us being there and being the place in which not only do we live, move, and have our being in God, but God also is available to us. And I know, and this is a part of the fact, is that oftentimes there are aspects and areas of our life that we feel like are too messy, that we feel like that somehow we will do and provide and abide by our spiritual principles in every other aspects of our life. But this is something that I'm going to do on my own. This is something that I'm going to do by myself. The revelation came to me years ago when I had my home office, and it was stay kind of messy and disorganized and dirty and all of that. And I know that oftentimes that was a refuge, if you will, for me, even in the midst of all of that, because I knew that the rest of my family wouldn't come into the office because of the condition that it was in. And one day, the thought came to me, the realization was that I was using that as a protection, because I knew that, I could go in there and sort of get away from things, and nobody would come in because they say it's too messy, it's too disorganized, it's too junky, and all of that. And how in my life, I also was doing that because I was thinking that, well, there's an area or aspect of my life that maybe I'm not proud of, or that I'm frustrated by, or whatever else, and thinking that somehow, and I know this gets into almost thinking about God being outside of ourselves, but God not coming into the midst of your mess. God not coming into the midst of my mess, and it was a protection. But the fact of the matter is, if we are open and available to Spirit, no matter what the area of our life, no matter what the messiness of our life, is open and available and willing to come to us. And I know that one of the first times when I had the realization that no matter what it is that I do, that I can bring the complete essence of God into my life, the complete essence of God into every aspect of my life, and the full presence of God is fully available to me. The first time that really came to me and I really got it, I can think about how excited I got about it. And oftentimes now I have to bring that back into my situation and into my realization. The full essence of God, to let your conversation be in heaven, as Ernest Holmes said, or in other words, talking about in the way that we talk about things, the way that we view things, the way that we see things, the way that we experience things and frame things. Basically, we do it from a spiritual or metaphysical perspective. We understand that there are spiritual lessons in everything. We understand that there are spiritual solutions in everything, that we recognize this and we know that, and we abide by this awareness, and we operate in this understanding. For me, one of my role models is a woman that when I was pastoring at church and she lived not too far from the church. She was an elderly woman that still stayed by herself, and I know that her family members were concerned about her at her age and in the neighborhood she lived in, being there by herself. But she was a person that had no doubt about it, and I had no doubt because she was so sure about it. It's the fact that she and God were best friends. That whenever you talk to her, that her way of just approaching life and the way that she abided by her whole understanding of life, she first of all just knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that she was okay living where it was that she was because God was her constant companion. She was not alone, and just to listen to her talk and just to see that faith and that confidence that she had, that everything that she did was imbued with the essence of God, and everything in every aspect of her life, that God just sort of just saturated it, if you will. That, I think about how, again, in Science of Mind, we talk about how God is impersonal, but personal to all. In other words, impersonal, not meaning God not playing favorites, as Paul said, God not being a respecter of persons, but on the other hand, personal, being available. And she certainly had that personal aspect of God being in her life, and just listening to her was so encouraging and so motivating, because she talked in that way about if it was too hot outside, she said, God, if you could just send a little bit of rain to cool things off, and a few minutes later there'd be a sprinkle and she would feel better. Or, God, can you do this or that? And just the kinds of things there, that's what I want to have and think about her as being the role model for my life. I'm reminded of the story of when some ministers were coming together to have a revival, and they were thinking about who it was that they were going to invite. And there was a minister that they had been inviting for years and years to come and preach the revival. And one of the younger ministers stood up and said, we get him all the time. Can't we get somebody else? Does he have a monopoly on God? And one of the other ministers said, well, no, he doesn't have a monopoly on God, but God has a monopoly on him. That idea of expressing and bringing God into every aspect of our lives, bringing spirit into living, being open and available to all that God is and all God brings for each and every one of us. Years ago, I had the opportunity to go to a conference that was a joint gathering between the Institute of Noetic Sciences and the Global New Thought movement. And it was really, if you will, a conference of scientists and a conference of spiritual people, if you will. And it was very interesting, the kinds of things that we did together at that conference and talked about at that conference. And we were in Palm Springs, California. And if you've ever been there, you have to fly from one of the major airports in California to the Palm Springs airport, which was a very small airport, and it was just basically consisted probably of 2 runways and all of that. And I can remember when the conference was over and it was time to leave, and I got to the airport, and the person at the desk informed us that our plane would be delayed, our flight out would be delayed, because they were having problems with the plane that was coming from, I think it was at that time, it might have been, I know it wasn't Los Angeles, can't remember what the airport was, but one of the major cities. And so we sat down, and as we were there, a lot of the people who, and unfortunately I say it this way, who were the scientists, were getting upset with the woman at the desk. And they were telling her, we demand that you get us on a plane to get us out of here because we've got connecting flights. And they were just going on and on and on. And she said, finally, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, there are no planes out here. I can't bring a plane out of thin air. We have to wait for the plane to come. And so as I was sitting there, I looked across the way, and there was a minister I recognized, her Unity minister from Detroit, who was sitting there. And she kind of gave me an amused smile, and she looked at me. And then I saw her close her eyes and bow her head for a minute and look back up at me. And I realized that she was signaling to me to go into the silence, to go into that place that we know that when we recognize the full essence of God. And so I did the same thing. And so both of us sat there, and I know that we were doing that. And eventually our plane came. And I was concerned too, because I knew that my plane, my connecting flight was going to be late if this flight was going to be late. And I was concerned about whether I was going to have to spend the night at that other airport or not. But what happened is that as I remained calm and we got to the other airport, the major airport, my flight had been delayed there. So I was able to get my connecting flight and make it back here to Memphis because of that. And I know that it was just really for me an opportunity to know that as I use the admonition from Psalms 46, be still and know that I am God, that as I was still and brought the full essence of God, and then at that moment, I knew that it was okay. I was okay whether or not I got on the connecting flight or not, that all was going to be well. And of course, it was well. So as I close, and I know when preachers say as I close, a lot of times they will go on another 30 minutes. Hasn't been 30 minutes yet. But I know that one thing that is important, because you might be asking, well, okay, how is it that I bring the full essence of God into every aspect of my life? How is it that I move away from the tendency to compartmentalize my life? And again, it's to be open and available and to invite the presence of God in. And I know that this doesn't completely sound metaphysical or new thought, but the thing of it is that we have to be open and available and also invite the presence of God in, meaning we have to acknowledge the presence. And it's like this. When I was in the 6th grade, there was a girl named Patricia that I just saw one day. I was crazy about. She had the just most beautiful brown skin. She had a little short afro. She looked a little bit like the star Pam Grier. And I was just crazy about her. And I could just, I would see her walking around in school and all of that. And one day I saw her talking to a girl that was in my class. And I didn't know that she knew her, but I was excited. So I went up to my friend. Her name was Angie. And I said, Angie, you know Patricia? She said, yeah, she's my good friend. She's my neighbor, as a matter of fact. I said, well, I like her. I said, tell her I like her. So Angie said, okay. So the next day she came back and said, well, Patricia says she likes you too. And so I said, well, tell her I want to be my girlfriend. And so she came back and told me later, Patricia said, well, yeah, Patricia said, yeah, she wants to be your girlfriend. So I was so excited. And I remember even that Sunday going to church and bragging to other people that I had a girlfriend named Patricia. And I was so excited. And I, tell Angie, tell Patricia this or tell Patricia that. And then later that next week, I saw her walking, holding hands with another classmate of mine named Jeffrey. And I was so hurt by that. I couldn't understand. She's supposed to be my girlfriend. Why is she walking with somebody else? And then I happened to be out in the hallway and she saw her ahead of me walking in the hallway. We're the only 2 people in the hallway. And I was nervous because, I will tell you this. I had never talked to Patricia myself. All the messages went through Angie. But I saw her now, and I got up enough courage, and I called her name, and she turned around, and she smiled at me with that most beautiful smile. And I said to her, Patricia, I thought you were my girlfriend, but I saw you walking, holding hands with Jeffrey. She said, well, I do like you, and I would consider, when you said you wanted to be my boyfriend, you wanted to be me to be your girlfriend, that was fine for me. And, Angie told me all the things that you said, but I was waiting to hear from you. And the fact of the matter is, getting back to my point, God can do no more for us than God can do through us, is the fact that ultimately the Spirit is waiting on us to say something. The Spirit is waiting on us to invite it in. The Spirit is waiting on us to understand, again, that it's not about us making something happen, but it's about us allowing something to happen. That as we set our intention, as we become open, as we do the work, as we have that awareness and our understanding and allow, then things begin to happen and the compartments that we have begin to dissolve. And we find that in all that we do, in God in whom we live, move, and have our being is there, is right there and open and available. And so it is.
There was a time in my life I thought I had to do it all for myself. I didn't know that the grace of God was sufficient, and I didn't know that the love of God was at hand. But now I can truly say, if you're struggling just to make it through another day, you gotta let it go. You gotta let it go. You gotta let it all go. And this is what you have to say.
I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide, 'cause I'm only here for God. No more struggles, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I believe
And I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide.
only here for God.
No more struggles
No more strife.
with my faith.
By faith I see the light.
I am free.
In the Spirit.
Yes, I'm only here.
Only here for God.
I release, I let go.
And I let go.
I let the Spirit run my life.
From my life.
And my heart,
Heart is open wide.
yes, I'm only here.
Only here for God.
No more struggles
No more strife.
with my faith. I see.
I see the light.
I am free. I am free.
In the Spirit.
Yes, I'm only here.
Here for God.
I release.
And I let go.
I let the Spirit
From my life.
and my heart.
It's open wide.
Yes, I'm only here.
Only here for God.
No more struggles. No more
Strife.
with my faith.
By faith I see the light.
I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God.
There's a song in my heart, praising God with all my might. There's a rhythm and a rhyme inside my soul, revealing spirits, guiding light. And I know, yes, I know, that it's God. There is something here that I just can't shake. It's invading my life, you see. Makes me go for higher ground and pulling me to really big. And I know, yes, I know that it's God. No, I won't deny this voice inside. This voice keeps calling me, even when I try to run and hide. This voice won't let me be, so I turn and listen deep within. Oh, God's work I must begin. For I know, yes, I know that it's God. So I say to myself, can this really be? Is this still small voice the way the Spirit speaks to me? Touching me when I'm quiet, touching me when I'm alone, opening me as I surrender to the way that's being shown. And the song in my heart fills my life with so much love. For I know that it's God. No, I won't deny this voice inside. This voice keeps calling me, even when I try to run and hide. This voice won't let me be, so I turn and listen deep within. And oh, God's work I must begin. For I know, yes, I know that it's God. For I know, yes, I know that it's God.